The second and final item under our action item for the evening, interview questions for board applicants. We do have a board vacancy created by my impending departure, and we will be, maybe we can remind folks that the applications are due November, I want to say 16th? 20? Do you have it with the, no, missed him.
I'm sorry, Member Affeld, I don't know it by heart offhand.
I'll pull up the list.
Oh, thank you.
It's November 20th. Oh, the 20th? No, I think the interviews might be the 28th.
So Ms. Emery emailed me this today because I had some questions. So the application period close of business November, it looks like 16th to me.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And then we'll get the packets on the 17th. And then the 18th, we're having a special board meeting to finalize the interview questions. And then Monday the 21st, candidates will be interviewed.
Monday the 20th.
We'll be notified, sorry, and the interviews are the 30th.
Yeah. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you, Mr. Pats.
Sorry, I had to scroll over to get notified on the screen.
All right. So we're finalizing our interview questions later. This is what, a preliminary round that we're for tonight? The application is out, right?
Application itself is out with the questions. I think these interview questions, it's to the pleasure of the board. You could endeavor to finalize them tonight if you so choose.
Mm-hmm.
I think these, we accidentally attached the older version. I think in front of you have the questions from the last version, or last time we appointed a board member. So if you, Ms. Rogers, but if these questions, if everybody's happy with these questions, you know, it's up to you if you want to make those changes and if you want to endeavor to finalize those this evening.
Looks familiar.
I would, they look pretty good. They're still fairly recent, since we used them in January and February. I would add some version of the one that we put on the application about the, which I don't have in front of me, but the Audrey Miles question. What is your commitment to continuing the Emery Unified School District in its current form, and why or why don't you think that's important? Do we have any other?
I agree with you, President Affeld. Adding that, adding that, or and revising one of the other questions which would be associated with, which I can't really locate. So if you had question 10.
Tanner, how come you have 9?
This is the one that, no, this is the one, the attachment that Ms. Emery sent. These are the old questions.
These are the old, I thought these were the new ones.
I think the
Okay.
paper version you have are the new ones, I believe.
Are they?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Paper versions.
The opposite.
See?
Okay.
So there's only 8, to clarify, there's
That's
only
correct.
8 questions?
That's correct.
Was the paper version available to the audience?
Yes.
Awesome.
These look like the old questions. So were we resorting back to the original questions that are before us? Because the attachment that we have are questions that have not been discussed previously for an appointee.
They were an earlier version that I think the board used previously during an appointee process in the past. So they were accidentally attached by mistake.
Okay.
So your paper version is the last version the board chose to use for this process.
Yeah, I think the one that's the attachment, member Collins Rogers, was, I want to say 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
Not that we can't pull items from there if there's something that you like.
I think the The hard copy version is a little bit more updated
Yeah.
in terms of what's going on in our campuses.
No, just to be fair to the prospective candidates, there's multiple questions that have 4 goals in mind listed. Have they been listed in the packet of information to the applicants?
They're not in the packet, they are on the website.
Okay.
We talked last time about giving them a copy of them in advance to make sure they're familiar with
Oh, I
them.
think we
Yeah,
did do that,
And
yeah.
we did do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we did, yeah, so.
So we
just
can
make
do, we
sure
can do
it
that.
again.
Yeah, so when, as the applicants
So-
apply, we'll give them a copy.
So.
Maybe we should have a quiz on the LCAP, 100 odd page LCAP, and see how well they know it. Maybe we'll stick with the 4 goals.
I
Only
think
you
we
would
should
say
see how many
that.
applicants we have first. I think let's see how much thinning of the herd we need to do before we get there.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah. When is your last day?
I sent you the letter, I sent the board the
Yeah,
letter.
I just don't
It's,
have it in front of me.
Basically, the turnover of reorganization meeting in December,
Okay,
which is the 14th, I believe.
okay. And so I guess my question, because my question is, when are you going to step out of this process?
Well, I won't be voting on the candidate, so
Yeah.
that's, I'll step out when it comes to actually deciding who the person is.
So would that be at the screening portion when we're screening through the applicants?
Uh,
I mean, it just seems to me the intent is that you're not part of the process, right?
The only restriction, my understanding from council, and I did ask this question,
Yeah.
is that a board member continues to function in every respect as a board member, except one who's said they're going to resign, and that is actually voting on who their replacement is. So there's no restriction on deciding what the questions might be or what the process might be
Right.
for who that person is.
And what about the deciding who gets interviewed? I mean, I would feel like that's sort of one way to limit the pool, right?
It's a fair question. I mean, that's not voting, that's deciding who gets interviewed, but I'm happy to ask council if there's any restrictions on that.
Yeah. I'd just
Uh,
like to be extra cautious on that,
Yeah,
so.
it's a fair point.
Can we run through the deadlines one more time for
Do you want me to do it?
clarification,
don't mind, just-
probing
I think I
purposes
saw
for
it
the
open,
public?
yeah. Oh, actually, open even.
Sorry.
Okay, so the notice went out on October 17th, and the applications were available on the 17th. And if I turn sideways, I can read the whole thing at once. I'm old. So we'll decide on interview questions this evening. The application period closes on the 16th of November. The packets will be sent to us on the 17th of November. We decide on which applicants to interview on the 18th of November at a special board meeting, where we will also finalize the interview questions. And then we will notify the applicants on that Monday, the 21st. And then we will do a special board meeting on the 30th, where we'll do the interviews, and we may or may not decide on the appointment at that point. And if we do not decide, we'll decide at the regular scheduled meeting, which is Wednesday, December 7th.
I think it's a special meeting, the 7th.
Sorry.
Oh,
A special meeting on the 7th?
All the rest are marked special. It did not, so. And I did not intend to throw you under
Yeah,
the bus, Ms.
special
Emery.
if needed.
So,
Thank you for going over that again.
yeah.
So are there any other thoughts on additional questions or questions to take off the list?
Ms. Emery, can you send that to all of us again, that list that I just read off? I think it was,
If someone needs it sooner than I can send it, it's also attached in the last board pack.
I know.
Okay, well, I think we have at least one tentative edition. Is that right? Or did you modify it, or just second it?
It dovetails with your suggestion as far as the EUSD continuing as is.
Mhm.
And we had consensus to send any applicant the 4 goals, right?
And, yes,
That, I think that's a whole brochure.
Right.
I think that's just fair.
yep.
Gonna get good.
So,
All right, and I would, I don't think we need formal action on this unless we can.
I don't think so. I just want to make sure, was there another change besides the added question that I missed from Member Marion? I heard, I couldn't catch it all.
My request was just having the 4 goals.
Okay, no other changes. We have one added question.
Okay, and that, I think we should leave open the stated date of the November 18th to actually finalize the questions, if further thoughts come to us.
yeah, I think it also depends on the pool.
Right, exactly.
You
'Cause
know.
So we should bring the question.
that's the date that we'll be deciding, the board will be deciding who is being interviewed on November 18th. And that's the same date that we will actually finalize the final list.
So we'll bring these questions back on the
Yeah,
18th as well?
as amended,
Sure.
okay? Are there any public comments on this item? All right. Seeing none, then